Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. We're going to be talking today about the supply chain and how it is getting worse, and I'm going to explain to you by the end of this video how I think we're going to see a massive amount of businesses have to close their doors, companies go bankrupt, but what I believe is going to be actually as soon as the spring. All right, so here we go. So there was a story out of the Wall Street Journal, and it's funny, I see a lot of these stories where these large media outlets are just trying to grasp at straws to get views, and they're throwing out these like a couple little bullet points, but they're not bullet points. There's no real information behind it. And the reason why, and they're trying to get these views, and there's not really a story there. And they literally ended this one on ... They don't really know what's happening. They don't understand it. They don't know what's coming next. They're just trying to grab views. And it's really neat to see this actually, because the mainstream is losing credibility so fast, it's crazy. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's pretty exciting to me. So this is what I got out of this. And then I'm gonna explain a couple things. They say the supply chain bottlenecks are feeding on one another. And that is true, we're seeing that. We saw that with autos. That's a very easy way to explain it. You can't get a car, right now, a new car, because of a little chip that's being built, right? That chip is missing, so you can't build the car, right? So that supply chain is messing with another supply chain, right? Well, then that, if you can't sell the automobiles, now that is leading to layoffs of car salesmen, right? So it's like one thing affects another, right? Down the road. We're seeing the trucking industry, the supply chain was damaged in January because the government decided to pull a bunch of people's, we're talking a ton. I want to say it was like 20 or 25% of truck drivers' licenses, because they said, okay, we're taking away your hazmat certificate, your endorsement, because you had a prior felony. Like all of a sudden, okay, this is what we're going to do. At the worst possible time, you got to sort of wonder why that is too. That's all I'm saying. And it's really sad. And you know what, let me step back a second. It's one thing to... there's a lot of people that have made bad decisions. We've all made bad decisions, all of us. And some of us made horrific decisions. And I know people that have made some really, really bad decisions, and they changed. They went to jail, they went to prison, and they rehabilitated and they changed. And I always say that the worst thing you could ever do to tell a man that's trying to change his life is to remind him of his past, and that is so true. And to sit there all of a sudden and say, you can't, drive a fuel truck or literally a box truck that's carrying a bunch of lighters or whatever is deemed hazardous at that moment, batteries, because you've had a felony in the past. It doesn't mean they're going to run that truck into a building. And it just blows me away. And so with that supply chain, they took away 25% of all eligible hazmat drivers. So you had this massive shift in the trucking industry. Cargo haulers ended up moving over to hazmat if they could make more money, things like that. And so that started that supply chain thing, and now you have more kinks in that chain where they're missing little parts of their DEF system. They're missing a linkage piece to their truck, and so that is just getting worse and worse and worse, combined with the constraint, the issues at the actual ports, right? So that's what the Wall Street Journal was pretty much trying to say there. And then they said they're showing signs of choking off a recovery. Well, no, duh. This isn't a recovery. This is a lot of new money that was printed into the system, that last stimulus package, and it's floating around trying to find a base. It's trying to find something to grab onto. And so we're seeing huge inflation issues, and inflation's coming in two different ways, or it's a reason of, it's two different reasons. One of them is that it's because of all the extra money. Like I just said, it's been printed, so people have got some extra money in their pocket, like stimulus. And I know not a lot of money went to stimulus, but the facts are a lot of money did go into people's pockets, and they went out and bought in the first stimulus. I saw electronics and TV sales explode. You can't deny that. That's what happened. And so that increased the cost of TVs because there was such demand for them. I saw a webcam go up 400% because there was just so little left. Then the other reason that inflation is happening is because when you need something desperately, a necessity, like food, and there's less of it, it's going to go up in price. That's why I like toilet paper. Everybody wanted toilet paper. It went bye-bye. And then as the few pallets would show up to the stores would raise those prices. The suppliers would raise their prices as well. So those are the two reasons, right? Well, now here's the other thing, and this is where I'm getting to with the absolute massive closures of businesses that are coming down the line. Right now, we've talked about the restaurant industry, and we've already said many times that restaurants are hurting because they're having a hard time getting people to come in and work, right? There is a lot of restaurants that are still having issues. But then on top of that, you have less and less customers coming in because if they have less discretionary spending, there's a lot of restaurants, like high-end restaurants and stuff. And even in my area, we live in a very nice area. I live in a small town in California, but it's wine country. It's absolutely beautiful here. But there's a lot of restaurants that are at like still half capacity. Well, they can't survive on that. And this is during rush hour, Saturday evenings, Friday evenings. It's one thing to get half of the customers, but then it's also one thing to have, 1/4 of the employees to be able to service those half of customers. So you're stressing out your employees too. Well, that's one thing, right? But now we have other companies. We have these larger companies that are manufacturing goods, but if they can't get the raw materials to manufacture their goods, then they can't sell them. Well, that means that they are going to have to close their doors one day because they only keep a certain amount of cash on hand to pay their expenses. And like we've been explaining also, we're about to experience an energy crisis in America, just like other countries are. And all the warning signs are there. And so when that happens and the price of electricity, natural gas, propane, all those things go up, gasoline keeps going up. In my area, we're paying $4.50, right? Thank you to our taxes. Copy. Sorry, I digress. As these prices keep going up and companies have less to sell, right? Including stores. There's empty shelves right now because of supply chain problems. Well, think of that shelf as a piece of real estate, all right? I actually had the pleasure of meeting one of the top executives at Kroger. He just retired, and we got to have some really fun times and chat about things. And that's a piece of real estate. And that's all the executives are doing. They're going, look, if something's not selling, that real estate's not performing. Get it out of there, get something in that spot that will perform. Because every it's interesting actually. The grocery store executives, they count these stores square foot, the price per square foot of how much they make per square foot. And that's an important thing. So that think of that structure, that grocery store, as a footprint, and these little squares all around it, and they're either lighting up green or lighting up red. And the green ones are making money, those products, that section. The other ones are going red. There's all these amazing studies, and I absolutely am fascinated by that kind of stuff. So my point being is that we're going to see a lot of closures here in this winter time, and I think people need to brace for it. And what's one way that you could brace for it? Well, I always say get prepared, right? Well, one way you could get prepared is, again, just look at the things in your shelf that you would normally need. And I'm not joking, there's a lot of people that just love chili. It's not my thing, but they love chili. I eat chili. Well, chili sits there for what's the can will last, a couple of years? Cool, go buy some extra. You've only got a few months of chili, go buy a few months more. If you got the money in your pocket, go do it, right? There are some people I know that are out there, they're prepaying their insurance for the entire year, right? So that they won't get hit with an increase because they've already paid their full year. I know somebody that stores an RV at a really nice RV spot, and they just keep raising their rents, right? So what he does, he comes in, he goes, hey, I'd like to pay for the full year up front. And they go, sweet. And they keep raising their prices like every 4 months, 5 months. So he's already gotten out of like 2 price increases because every year he just pays that rate for 1 full year. Sounds funny, but there's all kinds of little things we could be doing. Maybe instead of that fancy coffee, we start drinking McDonald's coffee. I know I'm not supposed to slurp on camera, but hey, I need some coffee. All right, guys, that being said, Economic Ninja's got to get to the gym. I am out.